Hello, my name is Mitch and I draw Blood Force. And today we're going to take a look at a comic that I haven't seen a whole lot of people talking about, but it kind of stood out to me when I was a kid. This is Walt Simonson's Fantastic Four, number 352. That's a pretty random number, but I got my reasons on this one. And it's a windy day where I am today, which is a little bit of a terrifying prospect. I got all sorts of tall trees around me. So you might hear the wind in the background, or I might lose power during this. You never know. So we'll see how that goes. So we might as well start with some background about Walt Simonson. Walt Simonson became a name in comics during the 70s. Before that, he graduated from Rhode Island School of Design as an art major, and before that, he got a degree as a geologist. Because Walt Simonson loves dinosaurs. If anybody's seen the famous Walt Simonson signature, there you go. So part of the deal for graduating from Rhode Island School of Design, his thesis was a 50-page comic book called Star Slammers. And so he finishes that up, and all of a sudden you got your degree, and then you got your comic book, and you can just kind of pick and choose the best pages of that to use as your portfolio because you decided halfway through college you wanted to, draw comic books, which seems kind of like a bit of a stroke of genius to me. So he travels to New York and goes to DC because apparently that's where all the hot young artists go at that time. Marvel's perceived as being kind of stagnant, and meets with Archie Goodwin. They have a chat, and after that, he goes to the DC Comics coffee room, the break room, and sitting there are Howard Chaykin and Mike Kaluta and Bernie Wrightson and Alan Weiss. And that's a bit fortuitous, And they all go, "Hey, guy, let's take a look at your portfolio." And so he shows them, and they kind of pass it around. And Mike Kaluta, of all people, goes, to the editors and goes, "You got to check this guy out." And they convince, the publishers that, we need to hire Walt Simonson to work for us. So that's a bit of a boost. So he bounces around and works on a few titles here and there, builds a bit of a name for himself eventually, and winds up at Marvel doing their Thor comic, and turns Thor into like one of the hottest titles going, because I don't know, Walt Simonson has he's got an exciting art style, but also he loves Norse stuff, and his Thor stories are ones that he thought up back in the 60s before he even went to college. And it's all the early classic stuff when you hear about crazy old Thor stories where he turns into a frog and then, it's Beta Ray Bill. And all this just weird shit. That's all Walt Simonson. And he draws that for 30 issues, but he keeps writing it for another 30. And then he moves on to Fantastic Four. So this is in the 330s, and this is after John Byrne's run. And I think there's quite a few artists that can say they jumped onto a title at Marvel in the 80s after John Byrne's run. Because that dude drew a lot of shit. And, I don't know. It's Walt Simonson's style. Just, it's pure comics, and he can write comics really well. I don't know. There's something about it where it's just, it just seems to fit the medium. So this came out May of 1991, and I mean that's a cover, right? That's gonna be a little eye-catching, and it does play into the story a little bit. So there's a bit of backstory leading up to this issue. At the time, Fantastic Four is, as usual, Reed and Sue and Johnny. Ben is there, but he's human. And then there's Sharon, who used to be Miss Marvel. And now she's the Thing. And the issue before this, there's a plot where Doctor Doom returns after a long absence away. And no one's sure how long. There's a hint that it may have been as long as since their first meeting in the 60s. Which, that's a fun idea. So what he does is he offers, this is all kind of gone over a little bit on the front page here. We get a bit of backstory. But he's offered Sharon Ventura a chance to regain her humanity because she's been extremely aggressive and just kind of frustrated and losing it that she became the thing she didn't, and she doesn't want to be. So Doom offers her a way out, and at the same time he can get updated on what's been going on with the Fantastic Four because he's been away for a long time. And then the Fantastic Four go to rescue her, from what I recall. Ben transforms himself back into the Thing, but part of the process has mutated him, so he's more Rocky. So it is a little bit convoluted. Part of the previous issue has the Fantastic Four split off and get captured one by one. Reed somehow escapes. It isn't really explained. And so now him and Doctor Doom are going to face off. But they're not just going to have a fight. They're going to have a time fight. Which is a really neat idea, particularly the way it's implemented here. So, we've got unconscious Sharon, unconscious Ben. And you can see Ben's starting to just... His rockiness is going a little nuts here. And Doctor Doom is explaining the way... This is what he wants. He wants to go mano a mano with Richards. And he wants to just prove that he's the better man. So he gives him this, what's it called? Time sequencer. And goes, okay, this is how you fight. And then he zips behind him to one-punch him. Because he's a villain. So the way the time sequencer works, you can jump anywhere in time, and you can jump anywhere in physical location, as far as I can tell. Although there does seem to be a limit on how far you can go, both physically and temporally. So he jumps behind Richards to ambush him. Why am I calling him Richards? Mr. Fantastic? Well, I guess Richards is shorter. Reed. We'll go with Reed. Reed figures out his time sequencer and teleports behind Doom. Yada da da da. They just keep ambushing each other. And this is also... So they're explaining the way the fight's going to go. And they're also explaining how it works here. Because... Where are we starting out here? 104. So, Doom jumps back to 103.53. Reed jumps to 103.56. Because I guess that's how long it takes for him to get through the dialogue. Doom jumps to 103.57, which is just before his sentence is ending. And there you go. So, and we're back to 104. So, there's been like all these jumps all happening at the same time. And it also makes them difficult to perceive. And then Reed stays in place, but jumps back a second or two so that he's ready for Doom to port in. And Reed teleports out, and Doom has to follow him, just as Ben's waking up. And this is where the story kind of splits off. So they jump ahead to 108. As we can see here, it's 105. And so you can follow the Ben story, or you can follow the Reed and Doom story. And it seems to be a little bit better to follow the Reed and Doom story first. Both stories are kind of straightforward. And they run kind of parallel. But they do intertwine a little bit. So this is... Doom's impressed that Richards has picked up the technology so quickly. Reed ports away. And he ports almost to the end of the story. Oop. There we go. And he's set up a trap for Doom where he's going to drain the power out of Doom's suit. And I mean, like this story's already, going on as we're way deep into it. And Doom has to teleport out to escape. And he manages to escape. All right, but his power levels are still going okay. And, basically, they're just swinging, taking chunks out of each other. Now it's Reed's turn to teleport away. And he does. And Doom catches up to him, and he's going to shoot him with his, whatever nonsense science fi word he needs in this case. This is an entropic inducer. So it's going to induce entropy. Gotcha. All right. But this is one of the points in which the story, the other story, kind of intertwines. Because Ben's fighting some robot guy here who for some reason shoots Doom. And then Reed has to teleport out again. And we don't even know what the fuck happened there. Unless you read the Ben story first. You might have. So Reed teleports out to 136. Something's going on here. I don't know. And so Reed has stolen a staff from Doom's armory. And now he's going to fight him with that. Jumps to 117. Like, it's almost choose your own adventure-y this way. And now Reed's making adjustments to the staff. Doom catches up again. So, Reed ports out. Doom catches up, shoots him. Reed deflects the blast to 1233. But we started at 104. So this is well before that. Doom's confused. He doesn't know what the shit just happened. Reed ports away. So what came before 104? There's 1233 right there. So what happens is Reed Richards teleported the blast to his trap in the previous issue. And didn't tell anybody. I mean, that's the only thing. I went back and looked at it. There's no real indication of what happened. He just Reed appears, which is a bit of a drag. But it is pretty cool that, you get this blast here, and that's this here. And that's him freeing himself. And that's just such a kick-ass cover. We might as well look at it again. And Reed jumps away. Doom follows him again. Doom figures it out and explains it to us. Oh, okay, you didn't just escape with your belt buckle. It's like, what? that's the line he says. Yeah, no, it's your trap was old and my belt buckle sharp. It's like, all right, that's kind of lame. And then Reed punches him. Like I said, this part is actually very straightforward, except for all the jumping around. 141. Oh. And they're still just taking chunks out of each other, but they're coming back into color here. And this is the end of the Ben story, the Fantastic Four story. So they're meeting back up, right? And if we're reading the Ben story from the beginning, like, this is all just the gimmick, right? So this is kind of the heart of it, I guess. Ben he's found Sharon, and some Doom robots are going to show up. He's going to fight the robots. He's going to take them out pretty easily, except for this big robot who has a floating reticule, like just targeting system, who beats the living shit out of Ben. And meanwhile, there's some in-between fights going on between Doom and Reed here. And then, oh, wait a minute. The floating targeting reticule has tracked Doom's laser blast. And he shoots that instead. So, okay, that's what happened. And then, which gives Ben his opening to destroy the robot. And so Ben is reflecting on the fact that he's still mutating, which does happen actually a bit more over the course of this issue. Because if you see his knuckles here, he's got like spikes coming out of his knuckles. And previously, not so much. That's kind of a classic shot, actually, looking at it. So he, stashes Sherry, goes to look for Johnny and Sue. Knows Reed's off, taking out Doom somewhere. Finds Johnny. Johnny's been underwater this whole time. That's how Reed kept him, or Doom kept him trapped. And then they find Sue. Sue's just had an anesthetic for some nose plugs. Again, this is also kind of straightforward. But here's where it kind of loses it. Because then we get an interdiction by the Time Variance Authority. If you watch the Loki series, they play a pretty big... Well, that's like the main background now that I think of it. Been a little while since I watched it. And it makes sense for them to show up in a Walt Simonson story because apparently they got introduced back when he was doing Thor. And like some of this dialogue is just fantastic. I'm not sure where Simonson would have come up with this because he never worked in an office as far as I can tell. But this is very office-y talk. You're just like, this is timeline 9023-A. Isn't that line already up for procedural review on temporal misconduct charges? Yes, sir. In fact, time jumping there is presently supposed to be under complete interdiction pending the review. Are you certain your monitors are fully operational? No mistake, sir. Yeah. But yeah, there's good red tape talk and just technical talk. So the team's back together. They wake Sherry up, but Sherry's kind of lost her mind a little bit. And when she sees the thing, she thinks she's looking at herself. So what they do is they put Sharon's thing outfit on Ben. And when she wakes up again, Sue makes Ben disappear. And says, see, thing's disappearing. No more thing. You're human now. It's all good. And that kind of snaps her out of it. And then she can just look at Ben and go, oh, shit, are you ever ugly again? And right then is when Doom and Reed come back in. And they just, another thing Reed stole from Doom's armory. There was a panel in there, or like a page in there, where Reed teleported into Doom's armory and stole a bunch of shit. And then Doom catches up to him and he ports out again. I somehow missed that. Oh well. So, and you get these great... that seems to be one of the best things about Walt Simonson drawing the Fantastic Four, is you get these great Walt Simonson angles on everything. So with like the Human Torch flying, or with Mr. Fantastic doing the stretchiness, where you really want to show some impact, bang, like that. It really looks like he's just like flinging that arm around. And then some robots come in. Actually, I don't think they're robots. I think that's a dude. And Doom's had enough of that. And so he destroys the robot, but then he gets destroyed in turn. And you gotta love the energy behind this shit. Like, this panel looks like it took about 10 minutes to draw. Where it's just like, zip, huh, yeah. And I, it probably did. It probably took longer than that. But, man, it looks like he just whips his stuff off and it just comes out looking fucking fantastic. So, yeah, the TVA have arrived. They're going to kill... They've killed Doom because he committed murder. And they're like, but you're time people. You could have jumped in before that. But then he wouldn't have killed anybody, and then we couldn't have executed him. It's like, come on, red tape. We're trying to avoid that. And then it turns out that it wasn't Doom at all the whole time. It was yet another Doom bot that he came up with. But, yeah, this is... all these old subscribe stuff. Oh, it's not coming anymore. Hey, what do you know? Yeah, this is one... it took me a while when I was a kid to even figure out how to read this thing, I think. That's the only thing. So like I get through here, and yeah, and okay, I'm with it up until here. Reed disappeared, I guess, and then Doom disappeared, and then this made sense, and then this stopped making sense to me. Because I didn't realize what was going on here. I'd read Choose Your Own Adventure books before this. You think I would have got it. But apparently not. But, like, there can't have been anybody doing action like Walt Simonson at this time. I was going to say, like, it's very reminiscent of Jack Kirby before it. But at this time, like, I can't think of anybody who draws like this, like even remotely. Everything's big and chunky. He gets nice big shadows on everything, and it just lends some weight somehow. Loves to make everything look geometric. Get your speed lines in. Make everything high impact. I was just trying to figure out, is this a hand moving fast, or is this like repeated motion? And it's repeated motion. You can tell by the lettering, blamity blam blam blam. And plakow. Craplow. Splurring. Man, this is some good shit. It looked good too. I looked at who who did the lettering on this. This was Bill Oakley, and that actually that might sound a little familiar. He was also the guy who did Webworks with the Zrap guns. Yeah, like that. Look at this impact. This is great stuff. And he gets some nice. He's good with the moody shadows too, but like he's gonna keep moving. Keeps everything moving all the time. And keeps it lighthearted. It's so you get your sci-fi element, you get your family element, you get it's lighthearted fun. Like this is exactly what Fantastic Four should be. I still haven't read any of the John Byrne stuff, which seems to be the stuff you kind of need to read. Like there's the Stanley Jack Kirby run, which is just I don't know, pick a month and go when you can just read for that month and when you're home. And then do the John Byrne run, and then do the Walt Simonson run. And then you don't ever have to read Fantastic Four again, from what I can tell. No, that's great stuff. And his stuff still looks good today. Because Walt Simonson is still drawing comics. He's still doing Norse comics, too. He's doing Ragnarok, which is another version of Thor. Because, god damn it, Walt Simonson loves Norse shit. Here, let's go get that real quick. So here we go. I have volume 1, but I can't seem to find it anywhere, so I apologize for that. There may be a bit of spoilers in here if you haven't read this. So this came out in the last couple of years, I believe, 2017. And this is his new Thor. That's in there. And Thor's dead. But he's been resurrected, and he's the last of the gods because Ragnarok is come and gone. All the gods are dead. And there's a bunch of undead in the world. And Thor's going to clean this shit up. They don't call him that too often. And this is kind of an old school Thor, where he's honorable, but not, he's not like a paragon like the Marvel Thor would be. He does, hold his word, but he's also gonna, he's also vengeful. He's also a little spiteful. He gets angry easily. And, yeah, like Walt Simonson hasn't really lost a step. But you see how quick these... Maybe he does pencil super quick. Like, it always looks like he does, right? Because you see the speed of these lines, and it's like, is this final pencils? And maybe that's how he just gets that energy. And it's beautiful stuff. Like, nobody does I don't know. There aren't too many people who do a fight like this. One guy who does actually kind of look a fair bit like this is Eric Larson. So I wonder if he grew up reading a bunch of Walt Simonson. I don't read the interviews, so I don't know for sure. But wouldn't surprise me. Although he could take, a note or two about retaining quality while going for speed, because the new Dragon still just kind of looks like shit, unfortunately. But so that is, we'll just ta-da-da. That's Fantastic Four number 352. It's just a neat little thing. It's not, like I said, it's not one I've seen talked about very often. It's not a, I don't know, story mechanic, I guess you'd call it. It's not a story mechanic that I've seen used outside of this. But, like, it's, it seems kind of obvious. Like, sure. If you want, like, a time fight, and, you'd think a time fight would pop up every once in a while, but no, not so much. Yeah. No, great stuff. I always think I should read more Walt Simonson stuff, and then I never do for some reason. And then, I'll read like this and be like, oh, shit, yeah, this is amazing. Anyway. Thanks very much for watching. That'll be it for today. If you like this video, please hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at Team Blood Force. Also, please go to my Patreon and subscribe there. That's where I've got all my Blood Force pages and stuff. There's a Blood Force page. Issue 2 starting up. There we go. Fuck, where was I? Oh yeah, I remember now. Bye.